where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm glad you've made the connection and are with us today. I'm Lori Fitz, your host, and the goal of our show is to explore a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us in ways that get us thinking, get us talking, get us imagining, and perhaps inspired or challenged to do just a bit more because we've made the connection. So our topic today is on sustainability, and we're going to do a deeper dive on what sustain means. There's a quote that's on the Alliance for Sustainability's website that I love. Another world is not only possible, she is on her way. On a quiet day, I can hear her breathing. And that is with Arundhati Roy. And she is an Indian author and a political activist. And we have Rick Bernardo, the co-host today.
Hi, good morning. And we're with Terry Gips from the Alliance for Sustainability. I know you were going to say that any second.
No, actually, I was hoping that you would because you have invited Terry today.
I did. Is that how you got to be here?
I think so.
Terry Gips was on our program a couple of years ago, right before the 40th anniversary for the Alliance for Sustainability happened at the French Meadow Restaurant and Cafe, and it was a very great show and an event that night.
And you've begun in 1983.
Yes.
And have had an interesting journey.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. Well, I would say that when I was at the Yale School of Management, I had gotten to know through some mutual friends Frances Moore Lappé, who had written Diet for a Small Planet and Food First, Beyond the Myth of Scarcity. And she argued that we have enough food to feed everybody on the planet, but there are political and economic systems that stop people from getting the food they need. And one night we were having a long discussion, and I said, Frankie, I totally agree with you, but the way we're growing our food is destroying the planet. So could we feed everybody on the planet without destroying it in the process? And she said, I don't know. Why don't you go find out?
That was your inspiration.
That was my inspiration, and it led me around the world to 45 countries, a year and a half, and I got the answer. And the answer is yes, that we do have that possibility. I met some of the greatest organic farmers in the world. It was truly transformative for me. I also happened to have had a near-death experience when I was in Sri Lanka, and I sort of got my life's purpose. And from that, and what actually was amazing is these different leaders that I met, we joined together and we said we need to create an organization to be able to bring this into reality in the world. So we created the International Alliance for Sustainable Agriculture. So that was our beginning in 1983 when we launched, and we had Frances Moore Lappé come to our opening ceremony in what was then the Newman Center at the University of Minnesota. Sure. And that was where the Nestle boycott began and the Infant Formula Action Coalition. So we did a green ribbon untying, and we had a wonderful organic vegan potluck, and we had Frances Moore Lappé speak. So that's how we began 42 years ago in 1983.
I was in California at the time, and everybody had her books. Everybody.
Yes. She was an amazing person, still is. I mean, she came to our 40th anniversary. So and she's been sort of inspiration for us. She came to our 20th anniversary. So she's always been this deep inspiration. We work with her, and it's just been one of those great gifts.
When I was in the University of Minnesota in 1983, I was taking Ojibwe for my second language.
Wow.
And there was a philosophy that was shared in that class that for the indigenous people, they believe that there is plenty to feed the world, essentially. There's plenty for the world. So there's plenty for all who need, but never enough for those who greed.
It's beautiful.
And it stuck with me for many, many years that the planet has what we have and what we need.
Yes.
But the greed gets in the way.
Yes.
That seems to be, I mean, I think of a lot of food that's just being wasted because our politics have stopped that food to be distributed for people in need.
And I think you're absolutely right about the greed. The only other thing that I would add to that is that we also think that we know it all. And I think that's part of indigenous knowledge that's so important about being in relationship. And so sometimes we have people, companies, for greed that will come up with what they call solutions that actually are deeply harmful. And that's really why we came up with the concept of sustainability, that it's ecologically sound, economically viable, socially just, and humane, meaning to embody our highest values. So how we treat people, animals, and the planet. And really, that was one of the first things, before we ever began, that was at our core. How do we bring about sustainability on the planet and make sure everybody's needs are met?
And you started in 2020 another initiative that's added on to that. Tell me about that too.
Well, and even before we got to that, we were the International Alliance for Sustainable Agriculture for those first 10 or so years. And then we were able to go to the United Nations Earth Summit in Rio in 1992. And we had our greatest ever victory. We worked with more than 100 NGOs, nonprofit organizations from around the world, to actually get all 178 countries attending the Earth Summit to adopt sustainable agriculture as its goal, as their goal. And this was like, we even had to fight our own government. So it was really extraordinary that we were able to succeed and have it included in what became Agenda 21. This is sort of the green print for the future of our planet that the UN had developed. So with that, we sort of shifted, because we really felt that one of the big goals that we had after those first, decade was achieved. So
they adopted it.
They
check
adopted
off the
it.
box.
Yeah, and it didn't mean that it's all done and over, but we felt at that point that we always believed sustainability was the goal, but we felt we had to deal with food and agricultural systems, or else we're not going to be here.
Sure.
So we did that first, and then we said, now that we've achieved that, at least in a significant way, we shifted and we became the Alliance for Sustainability. So instead of just focusing international and only on agriculture, we shifted to the U.S. and overall sustainability. So we became the Alliance for Sustainability. And we did that in a wonderful way. We worked on all kinds of food system stuff still, but we expanded into our water systems, our groundwater, a whole number of other areas, renewable energy, those kinds of things. But something really shifted, like you were pointing out, in 2020, and that was the murder of George Floyd. And I think all of us were just deeply, deeply affected by that. And at the same time, we were dealing with the climate crisis and dealing with threats to democracy that were already beginning. And we felt we have to really step up. We've got somehow to scale our work to increase our impact. And so it was at that point that we decided that we would shift out of the work we were doing, which was on resilient cities and communities, very important work, with 60 of the metro area cities and communities. And we spun that off as a separate nonprofit, and we felt we need to do what can we do that will really have an impact? So we developed our campaign for sustainability, health, equity, and kindness. Those four things, which we always felt were part of sustainability, but we really felt that we needed to call them out, because for some people it's health. For some people it's equity. For some people it's kindness, and others environmental and sustainability related issues. So we developed our campaign, which we call our She Kindness, for sustainability, health, equity, and kindness. And so that's really been the focus of our work these last 5 years.
And we are talking with Terry Gibson. We didn't say that he still is the president and co-founder for the Alliance for Sustainability.
Yeah, I was the original executive director because nobody would take it on, and I did. And when we first began, Minnesota was in a very tough economic. We had a recession going on, so actually got hired through a state program, not hired but paid through the Meade program, and I got paid $4 an hour. Along with Manuel Lorey de Mola, who was our first office person. And so that's what we did.
And were you able to sustain?
Well, it was a little rough.
And your organization is sustained. And can you give us the website?
I was going to do that. The website is A4S. That stands for Alliance for Sustainability. AFORS.org, because they're a great organization.
And we'll be right back. We're going to talk about some stuff coming up at the university. No, excuse me, at the State Fair.
Yes.
That's right next to the university.
It is by the university.
It's by the St. Paul University,
yes.
And some great talks that are going to be happening there. So with that, got to go to some commercials, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I am your host, Lori Fitz. I have my co-host, Rick Bernardo.
Rick Bernardo, thank you.
And we've got our guest today, Terry Gipps, president of the Alliance for Sustainability. And we've shared the mission. I want to share the vision in kicking off this segment. The vision for the Alliance of Sustainability is that they envision a healthy, just, equitable, thriving, kind, and peaceful world that works for everyone, fulfills their fundamental needs, and realizes our greatest dreams of sustainability. I love that you have dreams associated with sustainability. That's not often put together.
Yes. The idea about dreams, I think it's very powerful when we do visioning with very diverse groups, conservative, liberal, doesn't really matter. It's so interesting that they share the same dreams, the same visions. And we are in a very polarized, divisive time. But when I actually lead the workshops and have these people together, it's stunning what we all want. And I think that's what we have to really go for.
To hold on to that. You also have a great passion for the youth. Tell me about that.
I would say that the Alliance for Sustainability is powered by young people. We are able to get some of the most extraordinary young people, college and graduate school students from across the country, from top schools, small schools, big schools, all different types of schools. And they are what really inspires all of us at the Alliance. Their voice, their vision, their passion, and their tech, their knowledge of things that for
tech
me,
savvy.
They're very tech savvy.
Ask a college kid.
It's what I do every day, and they give me hope. They show us that even during these really dark times, when I think it's really, really hard for young people to have any kind of hope about the world that we have given them, that they do and that they care. And so the privilege that I get from being able to work with these people, I mean, I could cry about that just thinking about the world that we are giving them, and we want their voices, and we have their voices and everything, and they lead us and they guide us on so many different levels. And so it's one of the reasons I feel like I'm getting younger. At 74 years old, I feel like I'm getting
You're
younger.
Growing young.
I actually feel that. Energetically, I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of them. It's because they really continue to show up, and they have ways of seeing and doing that are so remarkable. And it's reflected in our newsletter, for example, our Transformative Sustainability newsletter and Substack, because I just love hearing how they approach various ideas. It's like so much fun, and it's so hopeful, and yet it's real. I mean, we're not sugarcoating anything. I mean, we are really like looking at the biggest challenges that we are facing, and they continue to
And they're
just
up for it.
And they're up for it.
I love that.
There's nothing better than serving that.
Exactly.
So
and that's what I want people to know is that allow them to have their voices heard and to make a difference.
And to hear it, you can go to the Minnesota State Fair on August 21st And that's the first day of the fair,
That's
right?
the opening day.
Go to the opening day. At noon to 12:45, it's youth and schools co-creating a world of sustainability, health, equity, and kindness. And that's you and the interns.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. And what I think is exciting about that presentation is we have to start with a very startling fact. And that is that right now, 85% of young people have this sense of hopelessness and eco-anxiety. And it's affecting more than 30% in their day-to-day lives. And this is so profound, what they are experiencing right now. So we felt that we really...
So they're going into a depression?
In some cases, it's just anxiety. I mean, it's a wide range of things that they're experiencing. And that's just unacceptable. We cannot have a world in which our young people, our hope and our future, that we have 85% of them feeling this way, and it's affecting the day-to-day lives, their health, their future, on that kind of level. So that's why we created our AKEPA Youth and School program. And the AKEPA, interestingly enough, the reason we chose the name AKEPA is it's a beautiful bright-colored Hawaiian bird. It's got different hues, oranges and yellows, and it's an endangered species in Hawaii. And so we chose that because why is it endangered? For the same reasons we are endangered, from climate change, from loss of habitat, from various diseases. I mean, it's really, really interesting. So we wanted to pick something that speaks to young people, because the program is directed for middle school and high school students across the country, half of which will be in underserved communities. And through very simple steps, we want to show them. We want to acknowledge the feelings that they have. That's always the starting place. But after we've acknowledged the feelings they have, we want to show them the possibilities for creating this world of sustainability,
and when
health.
you give them possibilities, you're really giving them power.
Exactly. That's the whole point. They get this, and then they take action. That's the key thing, is that we pick 20 actions that they can take. They pick one in each of 4 different areas: sustainability, health, equity, and kindness, that they do for 1 month. And when they do this for 1 month, the idea is it becomes a habit. And they will save money, they'll be healthier, they'll be happier, and they will make a difference.
And
they will have an
that
impact.
they're making a difference.
Exactly.
May pull them out of that anxiety.
And then we're going to show them how much of a difference that they make. And then on top of so that's at the core. We have a great presentation, we have a great ebook, and we will have a website for them to do that. And then we take them down the next steps, which is we create a Students for Sustainability in their school or in their youth organization, where that's student run. They
do you
choose.
keep track of all of those?
Yes.
How many students do you think are out there that are part of this?
Well, we're just beginning this.
Oh, okay.
We're just launching. We've done it with one school with 5 classes at the school.
Cool.
Awesome.
Later in the day, you've got another presentation, Business for She, SHE, which stands for Kindness, Sustainability, Health, and Equity. And you're doing that with the interns, too.
Yes. So one of the things that we know is that business has true power to be good or to be bad. And what we want to do is support businesses in doing the right thing, to actually shifting. And this is what my personal work had been through my sustainability consulting firm. And what we're doing is, so I've worked with Fortune 500, medium, small businesses. And what we want to show them is there is a way that they can do business and do really well by doing good. And so they can have profits, but they will be done by doing it sustainably. And so we've had all kinds of work over the years with many, many different companies where they've really transformed how they do things. And we use a tool called the Natural Step that was developed in Sweden, that companies like the first company to use it was IKEA. And so and you can see in the products that they have, and the commitment they have, the treatment of their employees, all of these different levels, businesses can do that. and more and more companies are using this. So we want to show companies, you can do this. Cool. This is not hard or bad.
Now, those are both on the first day.
That's right.
We probably can't get to the next two, but the next one we can. August 30th, is that the last day of the fair?
Second to last day, day before Labor Day.
This is a great title.
On a Sunday.
And it's from noon to 1. Show me the money and sustainability. 10 simple steps to save money and the planet.
Yes. So this is one of the State Fair favorite presentations that we do. And I have a really fun little State Fairish kind of thing, showing people how they can save money very simply with these 10 simple steps to not only saving money but saving the planet at the same time, so that we can do the both. This doesn't have to cost more. People don't realize that if they buy 2 rechargeable batteries, they can save $1,000 over their lives, but not do all the mining of all these batteries, because you can charge them 1,000 times and they perform just as well. So we show them all of these different examples of simple steps that you can take, like eco-driving. So eco-driving is so simple. This is what they teach people in Sweden. 3 things that you do. You drive the speed limit, you avoid sudden stops and starts, and you properly inflate your tires. You do those 3 things, you can save 20 to 25% on your gas in right away.
It sounds very
with no cost.
It sounds very Scandinavian.
Very Scandinavian. Yes. But that's what we can do, and that's a choice that we can all make. It's not hard. This isn't difficult to be able to do.
With that, I know that we need to go to the next segment, or actually, we need to go to commercial soon. I'd love to have the website.
Website for the Alliance for Sustainability is A4S.org.
AFORS.org.
That, exactly.
And I just want to, go ahead.
Yeah, and we've been with Terry Gips, President and co-founder of the Alliance for Sustainability.
And I just wanted to end with another tidbit that I found from your website. We envision a healthy, just, equitable, thriving, kind, and peaceful world that works for everyone, fulfills their fundamental needs, and realizes their greatest dreams and vision of sustainability. Our mission is to co-create the sustainability on a personal, organizational, and planetary level. I know I kicked off with that, but I think it really summarizes all the great work that your organization is doing and continues to do, and continues to learn and grow from the young people that are part of it. And I'm looking forward to having us talk about the other presentation, and we'll be talking about that in the next segment. And it's going to be Eating Sustainably: How to Save Money, Your Health, and the Planet. And Terry will be on the edge of our seats learning about that in the next segment.
Thanks, Laura.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm Lori Fitz, your host. I've got my co-host, Rick Bernardo.
That's me, and we're also with Terry Gips, the president and co-founder of the Alliance for Sustainability. Good morning.
Good morning.
And I understand your mission is to co-create sustainability on a personal, organizational, and planetary level. Tell me your thought about what sustainability means to you.
Yeah. Sustainability is just such a great word, I think, because often we think of the word sustain like to keep going. But
to maintain.
To maintain. And that is absolutely not what we're talking about. We are talking about going to a place that no human being has ever been. This is a place that we need to co-create. And it's
envision together.
And envision together and create that together. And it embodies all of the greatest thinking that we can even imagine at the present time. Ideas like regeneration and permaculture and organic and all of those ideas, that's what sustainability is really about. And it's sort of like a North Star for us. It's like guiding us to where we really need to be as humans in relationship to all life. And it's like really one of the most joyous and exciting journeys that one could ever be on. We define it as being ecologically sound, economically viable, socially just, and humane, but it's even probably more than even those words can capture.
There's a spiritual quality to it.
It's deeply spiritual, and it's deeply an invitation for us to create the world of our greatest dreams. And so that's why I love living into it. It's like nobody's achieved it, but that's the place that we can go.
When you've added the level of equity that I know
Yes.
is important, and
Yes.
especially after 2020.
Yes.
I'm a longtime supporter of civil rights, and I think I learned how to walk in a march. My mother was very active in civil rights. When I hear you talk about it, there is the "we shall overcome" comes to me.
Yes.
In that there's a lot to overcome to create that.
Exactly.
There's a lot to take in that allows us to do that reimagining.
It's beautiful.
And I hear it's calling to us.
Yes.
It may be singing to us.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I could almost cry about it because this is not something that's hard or bad. It's really like our highest selves about who we want to be in the world. And it's like, why don't we just choose that?
It could be some people avoid it because sometimes it's so powerful. Something is so powerful, it's beyond almost an emotion.
I agree.
It goes to our core. Sometimes we kind of avoid that because we're afraid of the energy.
Yes. And I think there is a lot of energy. And I think as a male, I would just say that we often are afraid of having feelings. And this is something that's a very deep feeling about that, like you said, Rick, is calling to us. That's like an invitation to soften, to be more receptive, to be more in relationship, to be more connected. Like, Lori, what you were saying, the Native American ideas, they're all integral to sustainability, that indigenous wisdom. They've been living with that, and I think this is this opportunity for us to come together in a new way that's not about thingness and consumption and all of these things that we get brainwashed with.
It's funny you should say. When you say that, I remember, and you and I will remember this, the tear that came down the Native American when
exactly.
he was, in his canoe and saw that the river.
Yes.
Television commercial.
Yeah, way back when.
Yes.
That was our introduction to be thinking about the world being a different way.
Exactly.
And considering other cultures in terms of how we can look at sustainability.
Yes. And in contrast, I'll just say that there's this thing of greenwashing that corporate types often try to do to like
tap into that
to like get you. And then people go, well, but sustainability, it's getting so weakened because you see all of this greenwashing. And we go, no, not at all. Fight that, because ultimately, if you look at what they're actually saying and doing, it is totally not sustainability. It may be self-aggrandizing, it may be selling product, it may be a lot of things, but that is not the world that we're talking about.
Give me a little bit more about the world you're talking about, and then I want to hear about some of the talks coming up, but there's something there. Yeah.
What I would say about the world that we have this opportunity is starting with this idea, and one of the core tools that we use was developed by Dr. Manfred Max-Neef, a Chilean economist known as the barefoot economist for his work in Africa and in Latin America. It's really profound. You've heard of Maslow, and that's how I grew up, and I believed in Maslow.
Hierarchy of needs.
Hierarchy of needs. That's fabulous. We all know
that.
Get
a roof over our head, and then we can move up to self-actualization.
We keep moving up to self-actualization at the top. Yeah. He said, no. There are 10 fundamental needs that every human being has and has always had throughout all time and space. And the thing about these is they're defined. We know what these are, and we all need all of them. We need all of them, and we have that choice. And he laid them out like subsistence, so that you can, you have something to eat, and security, so that you're safe, but identity, meaning, creativity, leisure, learning, freedom, and transcendence. All of these things, they're integral to every one of us. And if we don't understand that how it is in developing countries that people have far less than we do, can be far happier,
Yeah.
have more fundamental needs. That's something that we can really learn. And when 9/11 happened, what happened was that, you may remember, we were in this terribly difficult time, but people responded
And they cared.
in a new way. Yes, they said, what's my purpose? Why am I here? How can I serve? How can I contribute? That is who we really are. But what did our president at the time say to us to do? Go shopping.
Yeah.
Go shop. And every American knew that's not what they wanted to do. So this was one of the worst times in America's history, but it was also one of the greatest because it reminded us that we are not consumers. That's what we've been brainwashed. We have we've got this gift to be citizens, to care, to connect, to create. So that's the world that we're talking about, where it's not about these things. It's not about this consumption. And in fact, one of the only ways of getting out of this consumption addiction that we are stuck in is actually through these fundamental needs.
Do you think that the timeout that we had with the pandemic also helped anchor us?
Absolutely, in the same way. And the only thing, I mean, people's creativity and how they showed up on so many different levels was astounding. I hoped that we would come out of it in a new set of relationships, that we could appreciate the preciousness of each person and everything that we have around us. But and for the earth, this was a time of recovery.
Yeah.
I mean, all these ecosystems that
It was lush when the planes weren't able to
exactly
cars
without the
didn't run.
pollution
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
It was amazing. But we didn't start treating each other the way we really need to. More road rage and more like frustration and stuff
It's
like
almost
that.
like coming back into the world. There's a fear that's underneath all of it.
I think so.
And there's a reaction to that.
There was a very, very deep trauma
Yeah.
that took place for all of us.
And I think we're happier in some ways that we can be. I learned that I had a introvert within me that I didn't
Exactly.
realize. It was like, my goodness, I do enjoy this. I do
That was
like it.
absolutely true for me as well. People think of me as an extrovert.
Yeah, me too.
I'm just as much an introvert. And I spent my time playing Frisbee with my kids during that time, outdoors. And it was really one of the best times of my life.
Yeah.
I know other people were really struggling, but I was with my pod, with my kids, and we played Frisbee. And it was like a gift that I never would have taken.
Exactly. I was surprised at how comfortable I was, and that it gave me a time out to find the richness
Exactly.
of my home and the world around me in
Yes.
a different way.
Yes.
I know we're coming up to the end of this segment, but I want to at least preview the next segment.
Sure.
That you have some amazing youth that you're working with. And we're going to be talking about 2 days at the State Fair, the 21st and the 30th, that we want folks to be putting on their calendar
Yes.
to be thinking about. And the next segment is a real honoring of the youth and their voices.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure that folks know about that. And if you could give the website.
The website is A4S, Alliance for Sustainability. It stands for A4S.org. And we'll talk more about the Minnesota State Fair talks that you've got coming up.
Thanks so much, and we'll be right back. We're having a great discussion with Terry Gibbs. This is Lori Fitz, and I am your host of Connections Radio Show. We have Rick Bernardo, and you caught us mid-sentence as we were talking about the State Fair coming up. Terry Gibb is the president of the Alliance for Sustainability. And I just want to say right off the top, if you're going to be going to the State Fair, think about going on the first day or the second to last day. Great presentations. And you can find these presentations. It's located at the Eco Expo, and it's on the sustainability stage.
So that stage is not going to disappear while you're watching.
It will sustain. It will sustain, and we will all have a good vision of it continuing to stay in a powerful and wonderful way. Terry, you have one other presentation you're going to be doing at the State Fair that I'd love to talk about. And this is going to be on the second to last day. And it's eating sustainability, which eating sustainability. Eating sustainably.
That too.
And how to save money. And this might be some helpful tips at the fair, because sometimes not all the food there is really representing sustainability.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I do talk about that in my presentation, so that's really good. Yeah, most of us and we're very eclectic. People are on a food continuum from I eat everything just as it is to all the way to being vegan and plant-based.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody is somewhere on that continuum, and we respect wherever people are on that continuum. What we'd like to do, though, is to try to show people simple steps that they can take to being more sustainable. And it's not hard, and it doesn't have to cost more. In fact, it can actually save you money, but also your health and the planet at the same time. So they're not exclusive. In fact, we show that you can actually have delicious, wonderful food. So we point out places at the state fair where you can get some of that food. You got to look, but we tell them where they can get it. But one of the main things that we're trying to do is show people that what we call the standard American diet, which stands for SAD, the standard American diet will kill you. And
a lot of fat.
Sugar, all kinds of things that are really problematic. And what's important about it is this great Stanford doctor has basically put forth the idea that standard American diet will have you live 20 less years and will cost us $3 million per person in healthcare costs, in additional healthcare costs. So we have to, whether you're a conservative or a liberal, doesn't really matter.
You want to live a longer life.
You want to live a longer life, but also we don't want to have to pay, for those costs. And we are going completely the wrong direction as far as that's concerned.
And that's all just about what works well and what doesn't work. That's all that's about. What's practical. We're talking with Terry Gips, president and co-founder of the Alliance for Sustainability, just so you know.
One of the things that struck me in their last segment, we were talking about how young people are overwhelmed.
Yes.
And 85% are nervous.
Yes.
Whether it's depression or anxiety, there's an awareness that's on their radar that there's something off.
Right.
A lot of us feel that way.
Yes.
A lot
it's
of us
not just the young people, unfortunately.
The young people, at least we've got, it's like, this.
But that's our future.
Right. But you and me.
That's right.
Have fears.
Yes.
Have anxiety.
Absolutely.
The world is at a very different place than it was even 10 years ago.
Yes. It's very hard for us at the Alliance for Sustainability because we've been working for 42 years to create this amazing shift towards sustainability. And it's very, very hard to see that in such a short time people are able to dismantle that on so many different levels. Psychologically, that's really painful. We haven't yet recovered from COVID.
Right.
That was a deep trauma, but now we're having a whole nother trauma on top of the climate change, the climate crisis, and the trauma that is causing. We have threats to democracy. All the institutions that we have known are being dismantled, the guardrails, all of those different things. So it is really a hard time for so many people. And I understand, people are responding in many different ways.
And it's not going to be easy to get back to where it was. And what I'm taking from what you're saying is maybe we don't try and get back to where it was. We have to reimagine something better.
Beautiful. Yes, I do think that in our campaign for sustainability, health, equity, and kindness, our whole purpose of that campaign is to bring about fundamental systems change. And we feel that to bring about that kind of change that you were just referencing, the only way to do that is to have personal transformation, that we have to start with us as individuals and how we see ourselves, how we see each other, how we see the world. We really need to shift how that is. We talked before about indigenous wisdom and all of that. There's many, many other ways that we need to heal ourselves from this trauma that we're experiencing. So we have to do that. But we also have to transform our institutions, our businesses and our government agencies and even our nonprofits, because we have ways of being that are really, really unhealthy, will not achieve sustainability. So we have to do those things. And then we have to bring about a shift and have impactful public policies. And we need to do all three of those things. We need to do them all together, but they're not bad. They're wonderful. We can actually incorporate so many simple ideas, like just the idea of awe, of seeing a sunset or a rainbow or just a child playing or whatever it might be. That changes our bodies. That actually has a physiological effect on us, and we can cultivate awe in our day-to-day lives just through gratitude. And I just think that it's such an amazing opportunity. And one of the most painful things for us at the Alliance is we have great solutions to the challenges that we face. There are a few that are really hard, but in general, our solutions are so simple, so straightforward. Anybody can do them, and they'll have a better life.
Change is hard for
Yes.
some, and we get in patterns.
Yes.
And it's not just shifting one thing; it shifts a whole pattern of being. I think we have to create what the world looks like to others that have a harder time envisioning,
Yes.
that have a harder time dreaming, and paint the picture for
Exactly.
them so that they get excited. Because I don't think you make change unless you have that within yourself, as you said, your soul is ready to make change. Then you're ready to accept change in others. I want to do it.
That's so beautiful what you just said, because I think that that's so core.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think when I was amazed at how many people actually don't imagine.
That's the point. Most of
It
us,
was frightening.
of us do not
They
imagine.
They actually don't see pictures in their head about what something could be.
When I lead workshops, if we do 10 minutes and it's transformative.
Yeah, it really.
Visions,
I don't think we
visions
train
and dreams.
I don't think
Visions
we
and dreams.
train enough of our
Exactly.
young people to understand how to imagine, how to dream, how to see a picture.
You have to taste it.
Yes.
You have to feel it.
Yes.
And if you do, you will settle for nothing less.
Exactly.
And that's the world we need to create.
And I wanted to do a Greta Thunberg
Yes.
quote
Oh.
that ties this all together. Right here, right now is where we draw the line. The world is waking up, and change is coming, whether you like it or not. Together and united, we are unstoppable.
Beautiful.
To get to that point,
Yes.
where Greta's dream, Greta's vision,
Yes.
Greta's clearly seeing what it could be and not accepting anything else,
Exactly.
is the power of youth.
Talk
Absolutely.
about energy, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're all children
Yes.
inside.
Yes.
And we all have that
Yes.
same childlike wonder.
Yes.
That's what we need.
Alliance for Sustainability. Go to afors.org. Terry Gips, thank you.
And Terry, I just wanted to make mention that you'll be here next week as well. So tune in, stay tuned. We're going to continue some of our conversation, not only about how we overcome the overwhelm, but also some really interesting articles in your newsletters that we're going to go through. So I'm looking forward to that. Stay with us next week as well. Thanks so much for joining us today on Connections Radio Show on AM 950, the
Cafe
Progressive
Latte.
Voice of Minnesota.